capital of crap internet.
And if it doesn't work, I'll use my brick backdrop and do my Type 5. What is the deal with steakhouses?
I don't even know. What is the deal? It's not a house made of steak, and they serve other things. Why would you do that? What if you're not feeling it and the name's on the door? Who does this? They've got macaroni and cheese. You don't see macaroni and cheese house.
They've got cream spinach.
Yeah, right. I went to Cream Spinach House the other night. They had steak. Who knew? This is why
pass for comedy, man.
Yeah, it does. By the way, Charlene hates me for just the reason you just saw, which is
30 seconds, guys.
Thank you. That if you wind me up on a topic, Charlene opens for me on the road and stuff. Charlene May, you've seen her before. Yeah, she just goes by Charlene now. Charlene, Charlene. Please don't take my man. Charlene hates me because she'll tinker on a bit for a long time and okay, all right, it's ready. And then I just walk on stage and I'm like, I was just thinking, she's like, it's so funny and it sounds like you wrote it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
Let's do this.
Oh my, Johnny Million. First of all, I'm very jealous of you right now. I gotta say, I'm very jealous of you because you're very tall. And because you're an amazing guitar player. And because you have fingers like the alien face hugger. And therefore, your ability to spread across the fretboard is incredible, honestly. My clunky hobbit fingers always have trouble with tight chords. And you oftentimes thoughts of you will make me walk outside and shake my fist at the sky. That's right. While I'm trying to learn the guitar solo from Bark at the Moon, and
oh boy,
yeah, seriously, right? And also because you got to have dinner with Ty Tabor last night, and you're going to go see King's X tonight in Chicago. And where are they playing tonight? What's the venue?
At the Arcada Theater in St. Charles.
The Arcada Theater in St. Charles. People within the sound of my voice, fill that place up. You will not regret it. King's X.
He told me that they are selling more tickets now than they did at their biggest point.
Yep. Yeah. It's
in the early 90s.
Yeah. It's called it's that body of work thing is finally catching up to them, where you're like, wow, they have 10 of my favorite songs ever in their repertoire. That kind of thing for a lot of people. It's an incredible thing. So please go check out King's X tonight if you're in the Chicagoland area and you like heavy, smart, well-orchestrated, progressive funk Beatles metal.
Beatles metal. Nope.
Yeah, it's incredible. Hal Vickery, thank you so much for the super chat right out of the gate.
Oh, Hal.
Keeping us... Which Hal, me or him? Him, obviously him. Okay,
the Vickery.
Obviously.
And how about Andrea being safe from the hurricane?
I know. We're very lucky. We've been keeping track of her throughout this whole thing. And everybody in Florida who listens to the show and watches Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams, and watches me all week long Hal Sparksing like no one can Hal Sparks in the history of Hal Sparksing. Because
she keeps up with you. She
does. She manages to do it and tear a roof off, and she still was able to book JoJo from Churs on the morning show yesterday, and it was amazing. And Phil's got his legs. She's basically living a scene from Twister right now.
Yep.
And we're lucky that she takes such good care of us. Thank you, Andrea, and thanks to CSL, by the way. Can't Stop Lying for supplying me with the fire hose of increasingly stunningly unhinged clips of not only Trump and Vance, but the right-wing media sphere entirely. Okay, let me tell you something, folks. I said, it's Thursday at this point, but I said that Harris is going to win. Kamala Harris is going to win. Harris Walz is going to win Pennsylvania by at least 120,000 votes.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. And the reason I said this was because I've been doing the math. And as far as registrations versus independents leaning towards her versus Trump getting 8% of a section of the population that's 1.5% of the voting block in an area versus Harris getting 27% of a voting block that is, basically all of Trump's wins statistically even out or fall behind because of the sheer lack of numbers. The biggest problem that Trump has right now is that percentages don't tell the tale. And that when polling companies go out and they go, we need 1,500 Democrats, 1,500 Republicans, and 1,500 independents, and we'll see how this is leaning. And it's a wash. The problem is there are, in that area they're talking about, 80,000 Democrats, 20,000 independents, and 40,000 Republicans. If you pick 1,500 from each group, it's kind of going to look like a wash because you're only picking people that are a subset of the bigger sets that identify as such. Who is still calling themselves a Republican in a bunch of these areas? And how many Republicans have switched to independent by the way, there was a huge movement of Republicans to independents because of Bush and the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. There was a big bunch of people who were ashamed of their Bush votes, still vote Republican in large part. A lot of them voted for Trump in 2016, didn't vote for him in 2020, but they by and large like Republican tax policy. That's all they really vote about, if they vote at all. And so they were embarrassed by the wars. They were embarrassed by his tweets. They're embarrassed by the fact that he's an adjudicated rapist and a 34 times convicted felon.
And they're like, deregulation is cool and all.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to eat green meat. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't want, we need, and it's so fascinating to me, because of the environmental bent of Democrats, there is a true limit on how Democrats can talk about the transition from fossil fuels to renewables in a realistic sense over a period of time. Because climate change has been viewed as an emergency, which, by the way, it is an urgent concern, but it is not an emergency. Emergencies are triage. An emergency is a bullet wound or a heart attack. You do not treat those things the same way you treat something like a diet plan or an exercise plan or a long-term change in your life. It takes time, otherwise you will trigger another heart attack or a bullet wound a lot of times. You have to measure those things out. Hence, Harris's shift from being against fracking to fracking, because natural gas is a transitional fossil fuel that gets us through from oil and coal to renewables in a way that doesn't crash our economy and at the same time mitigates the environmental damage that oil and coal do. Everybody knows this if you sit down and talk to them about it. But if you've been told that climate change is an emergency and we're all going to die in 3 years if we don't shut off the oil taps immediately, which, by the way, would not largely, it would make life in America very expensive, but it would kill 1 billion people in Africa and South America. They would just die. It's the same situation if you cut off that strait that basically China relies on for all of their shipments. I'm blitzing on the name right now, but all shipments of food that they get from an easterly direct or from a westerly direction underneath, below China. If you cut that off, within 3 months, about 300 million Chinese people will starve to death. That's one of the reasons why they're not picking a bigger fight with the rest of the world. They know this. And you don't even have to hold it. You can just sink a bunch of ships there. You could take a bunch of, tanker ships the U.S., the Saudis, anybody that wants to, could take a bunch of tanker ships, drive them out there and sink them, and you couldn't get a ship through there. You wouldn't have to guard it or anything. You created basically an artificial barrier reef, and 300 million Chinese people will starve to death unless they allow for other shipments from the north and make nice with everybody. But you could do that. Same thing happens if you cut off oil tomorrow. If you go no more oil, again, makes life very expensive in the first world, but it kills people who run on diesel in the middle of Africa, because the first world will buy up what is there, and the third world won't be able to get access to any. And that's largely what's responsible for the population boom in those areas over the last 100 years, is petroleum. And so you remove that petroleum instantly, you kill those people instantly. If you wean them off of it over time, just like you wean us off of it over time, then we get into a renewable situation where we're talking about, like, you know, prefab houses and off-grid electricity for the entire planet, and people aren't using near the amount of resources necessary to create first world living conditions in any future that we look at. You don't have to, you know, you don't need to mine a bunch of stuff and chop down a bunch of trees and unnecessarily to build a house that's sustainable and attractive and lovely to live in and can be easily replaced in a storm. That's the future we're looking at. That's the future of abundance, and that's the future of, like, the potential for that. But if you do this too quickly, if you know, it's the difference between pulling off the Band-Aid and pulling out stitches.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's why she switched. She came to that realization through study, experience, meeting with everybody across the country. Being a vice president will give you that kind of experience. She still wants, just like Biden wants, a completely renewable future for the United States. There is no reason why we should need any of the oil we produce in the future ever. But Trump's world, you know, not only have they been talking about going back to the 40s, now Trump is talking about going back.
They don't even understand where we are.
Right. No. Yes. They
don't even understand that we're already producing more oil than we ever have.
Yeah. It is. We are at an all-time high of oil production, and our usage has continued to go down, which is why in 2025 there will be an oil glut. Everybody is calling it. The Saudis know it. They talked everybody out of producing in these other countries until such time as they could, you know, maybe crowbar the United States into behaving in a way that they want. But no, effectively, those countries can only hold off for so long because it's the lifeblood, black blood of the earth. It is the lifeblood of their of a big part of their economy. This includes countries like Venezuela and others. They can't hold out like the Saudis can, and the Saudis can't hold out either. You want to talk? Okay, we got to take a break. You want to talk about where the Abraham Accords came from? It came from Saudi Arabia running out of oil is what it came from. It came from Saudi Arabia trying to become a tourist destination instead of an oil superpower, because that's what they are now. What do you think that line city is about? What do you think turning Dubai into Vegas 2.0 is all about? That's not what you do when you got plenty of oil and you don't need anybody to travel to your country. It's the exact opposite. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. JD Vance is dumb. We'll just cover that when we come back. He's genuinely dumb. I don't mean that in a pejorative. I mean as a descriptive. He's the definition of dumb.
I didn't. He had me fooled. I thought he was just evil.
Nope. Let's see. How's everybody doing in the chat room? What's happening? We've got.
The chat is hopping.
Thank you, Raymond, for the super chat. Hal and Johnny rocked the news cycle today. Oh, there's so much. Melissa, thank you so much for the super sticker. Brian, thank you for the super chat. Hal, Johnny, yay! I can start your workout now. Work it, push it.
Busted makes me feel good.
Busted makes you feel good? It does?
Yeah.
Have you heard John Schneider's new song from Bo Duke from Dukes of Hazzard? Don't Donald the Trump.
He's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, it's called Don't Donald the Trump.
Oh.
30 seconds,
Okay.
guys.
What? Thanks. What the hell does that mean?
You got me. I listened to the whole damn thing and I still can't figure it out. I literally don't know. We watched it on the show.
We do. Don't Donald the Trump. Okay.
Right. It's a message to Melania. What is Donalding as a verb? I Donald all over myself.
Ducking?
Yeah. I guess. Well, ducking is an actual thing.
Yeah.
Ugh, good
Isn't
Lord.
Donald ducking just not wearing
Welcome
pants?
back
Is
to
that
the
what you're
Hal
thinking?
Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Welcome back. So, there's a video going around, and I posted it on my X account. You can watch it. It's
It's fantastic.
how do we best describe this? JD Vance is on a Zoom interview call, and a lot of times,
And Hal, let me just jump in. Hal and I have had our challenges streaming. It's not always smooth.
no,
Things don't always go the way you expect. Sometimes you have to fix things midstream.
yes, right. Sometimes you're like, oops, oh, I forgot to flip that switch, or there might be a feedback issue or something. Okay. One of the things I think a lot of people who use Zoom are familiar with is that whole thing of like mirror my image. Sometimes when you use another piece of software, it will Zoom or other things will flip your image so the words in the back behind you are backwards. They're, or if you have a title you put on in front of yourself like we do on the live stream, it will be flipped and you're like, oh, all the words are backwards.
Flip. Yeah.
And I don't want to do that to certain viewers. Whatever, just seems awkward. So you flip the image. There's usually a little button in there somewhere in the menu that allows you to flip it the other way. Mirror the image and it will
Yeah, you
turn
right
around.
click on it, there you go.
Now, off you go. Right. So I can't. JD Vance finds himself in this situation. And the person that he is being interviewed by or what have you tells him this, that the image is backwards. And
Because he has things behind him that he would like to be read.
yes, which is the Vance.
It's like
Yes.
jdvance.com or whatever.
Yeah, it's from his, I believe it's from his Senate run. So this is,
Okay.
yeah. And the word Vance is backwards behind him. And he, first of all, before we even get to the really dumb part, turns around and looks at it. Now, think about that for a second. Think about
It wasn't backwards when I put it up behind me.
right, it wasn't backwards when we printed it. Oh, darn, that Kinko's. Right. That in and of itself.
Looked at it. I
That
didn't even
track
catch
that. Oh, that was the first part that like he turns and looks at it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to picture this.
say.
There's a printed sign that he's physically put up before the show. He has positioned it before. He has done multiple, more than likely. This probably his third interview of the day. So it's been sitting there. And he put it there. And he turns around to see if the words have magically jumbled on the paper. Okay, then he finally comes up with a solution. I think I know what's wrong. And he gets up and bellies the camera, which is, again,
Oh yeah, that's never a good look.
never good.
I always
Never
regret
good.
when I show the top of my head to the camera, but the belly, no.
I don't know. The top of your head is like, you have a perfect bald head. I don't understand. You like, literally, it's like, you know what I mean?
Very kind.
No, I guarantee mine is a
I'm gonna take your word for
phrenologist.
it. I appreciate you.
Mine is a phrenologist nightmare, probably. I've never shaved my head, but if I shaved my head and like a scientist from the 20s saw it, he'd go, murderer! You know, like, that man is born to be a felon. Captain Lumpyhead, get over here. You and your naughty skull. Yeah. So he gets up and he bellies the camera. And what was his solution, Johnny? What did he do with the camera, Johnny? What did he do?
He turned it upside down.
He turned it upside down. They didn't. All right. It might left to right.
I almost want to demonstrate, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
I can't do it. I'd have to turn my laptop entirely upside down to do it. It's okay. That's impossible to grasp. That, honest to God, I don't know how that kind of stupid happens. I don't know.
It's impressive.
Right. Which, ladies and gentlemen, should give you some indication of the intellectual depth and capacity of your average venture capitalist. I'm not talking about your above average venture capitalist like Mark Cuban and big investors. I'm talking your average venture capitalist. And on all fronts, JD Vance is average, posing is extraordinary. And
you know, I'm not a big billionaire fan in general, but when I hear Mark Cuban talk, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
This dude is shrewd.
Yep.
He thinks everything all the way through.
Right. Well, and also, again, there's a difference between like, even like Jeff Bezos, who I would like to remind everybody started with an online bookstore. Amazon was literally an online bookstore when it started. Just so you could buy physical books.
Radio ads. I remember terrestrial radio ads for Amazon.com.
Right.
And their whole thing was like, imagine how big a store would have to be to hold all the books that we have. Like, that was their whole thing. Like,
yeah.
We got more books than anybody else because we're not limited to a brick and mortar.
Right. And
That was the catch.
Yeah, and over time, dude now has rockets, just like Elon Musk does. But right? He's got contracts with the U.S. government, but like they're not reliant on the U.S. government the way Musk is. Because for anybody who's still a Musk fan that's listening to the sound of my voice, a couple of things. One is there is no Tesla.
Please stop.
Well, yeah, there is no Tesla without the 2009 Obama Big Three auto bailout because there was money put in there for electric car companies, and the biggest beneficiary of that was Tesla. It was first in line with its handout. It benefited more than anybody else, and it got a toehold on creating their cars and moving out of. Remember, they were just Lotuses effectively. It was a Lotus body with an electric motor in it.
Straps be damned.
Right. And so without a giant government handout, there is no Tesla. Just let's be clear about that. This is indisputable. This is, and somebody's saying, how do you mean JD is stupid because if he were literally dumb, he couldn't speak? No, I mean, dumb has a myriad of issues, not just because, struck dumb by a thunderclap.
You can start picking nits on what that means.
Yeah, he is, I wouldn't give him credit for being stupid because, again, stupid is knowing better, but doing it anyways. That he definitely is as well. But on top of that, he's also quite dumb. That said, there is no Tesla without a big, giant government handout. And there is no SpaceX without giant NASA contracts. Everything that Musk does is relying either on a government contract or Saudi money. The purchase of Twitter, he didn't even put the majority of his own money into that. Twitter is not owned by Elon Musk.
Yep.
Twitter is owned by a bunch of like rich Saudis and Russian oligarchs ping-ponging their money through Cayman Islands accounts to purchase this thing because they don't care about making a profit on it. They want to divide the American people and have them, fighting in each other's throats. At a certain point, you have to look at what's going on in the Middle East and look at some of how well the leadership is doing. The Hamas leadership in Qatar, the Saudi royal family, any of the super rich, you could call them like the Islamic oligarchs in this regard, setting Sunni and Shia against each other, creating all these tribal conflicts to their financial benefit. At a certain point, when do we start looking at, stop looking at the Middle East to some degree as a religious war and look at it from the context of what it really is, which is just rich people making poor people fight over resources, which is as old as time. That's what's happening. We got to take a break. When we come back, the rest of the Elon Musk myth, and apparently Jasmine Crockett, she surprisingly shares a particular view with Trump. Look at this, Texas Rep Jasmine Crockett. We'll be back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. She's, of course, being facetious. But
one would hope.
Yeah, he keeps saying all these towns are overrun by gangs, and she's like, yeah, MAGA gangs of white supremacists. Nobody will call them out. Yeah. Did you see the clips of Trump from the
Detroit?
I keep wanting to call these Fabulous, no, but it's not Flagrant. The podcast, the Flagrant podcast, which is like,
is that with that
Andrew
jerky
Sullivan
dude interviewing him?
Yeah, that's the guy. I think I want to say he's one of the Kill Tony guys. He's like a offshoot of Kill Tony's stuff, or he was one of the Kill Tony crew. Who's, by the way, for those that don't know, Kill Tony is a show that happens at the Mothership, which is Joe Rogan's comedy club, and they live stream. It's one of the biggest shows on the internet. It's huge, and it's all like it's all like brutal bro comedy. And they have guests on all the time, and like Rogan showed up with Bert Kreischer just recently, maybe a month ago, and both of them were hammered and just ruined everything. That was the only one worth watching for me, was watching the real host of that show. Thank you. Watching Kill Tony go, God damn, this dude stinks, and he's being stupid, and he won't shut up, and I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, it was bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, anyways, that Andrew Sullivan literally laughed in Trump's face when he said he's basically an honest person, because how do you not? Anybody who's just basically before
I remember that. Yeah, he chortled immediately.
Yeah. Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So, Jasmine Crockett, by the way, says that she agrees with something Trump says, that there are cities in our country that are overrun with gangs. Except he's saying they're Venezuelan gangs, and she's saying, he said, we got cities and towns being overrun by gangs. I absolutely agree. Guess what? It's the MAGA gang. It's some white supremacists on the other side, and he's yet to call them out. And he's right. And Trump seems to know this. So, okay. So the Alien and Sedition Act, which I think Trump called like the Alien Enemies Act of what was it, 1786? I'm blitzing on the number, but he announces that he's going to use this to get rid of the criminal gangs in our country. Okay, the reason he thinks this is because, like J.D. Vance, he's dumb, and he's not only dumb. I mean, he's a horrifying combination of dumb and cruel and stupid. So there are things he knows better, but he doesn't care. Right. Well, I don't know about the resources part, because they're dwindling. Because day before yesterday,
they're dwindling, but they're still,
He was at a fundraiser with a bunch of billionaires who said they're going to keep supporting him, but as yet have not ponied up the dough. And that's very telling. He was apparently at a fundraiser lambasting them that how dare they, not give money to his campaign. And I gotta
Yeah,
say,
that's how you do it, man.
yeah, that'll work. What more could you ask for? So, the idea. Well, we'll start with the finishing of the Elon Musk thing that I wanted to get to. So, I do this show on my morning show Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Hal Sparks mornings, Megaworldwide. The Friday show, the first hour we do. And often it bleeds into the second hour because there's so much to cover, is Fried AI. And we talk about the advances in AI and robotics and all the stuff that's coming. And I know it's less of a concerning topic for our regular viewers of the other stuff, but I don't want to eat up time in the afternoon show when these details come up, when Elon Musk does something like he did this week, which is unveiling his giant toaster that you can ride around in and his robot immigrants. So let me be abundant. Let me
Robot immigrants. He's a pro.
Well, let me put Elon Musk's robot workforce in terms that Trump fans can understand. Elon Musk's Optimus robot, which doesn't work as well as the other robots that are out there, Boston Dynamics Figure 1, the Neo or the Eve. Those are functioning robots that already are, keyed into ChatGPT, are very functional, already put to work in a bunch of places, and will continue to grow enormously. He's going to be always chasing after them. His stuff will look shinier and kind of cooler because he looks more at the image of it. He's trying to sort of be a low-rent Steve Jobs about this. But let me describe the Optimus to you. The Optimus is a humanoid robot with humanoid hands that have 36 degrees, I believe, at this point of articulation. Probably they'll have 40 eventually. And up and up until they have like 9 spider fingers like a character in Ghost in the Shell. Right? And they are not citizens of this country. They will work for free and no benefits in any and every factory and take jobs Americans not only don't want to do, but the jobs they want to do as well. And the idea that you're upset that a brown family is coming in this country because they're going to flip burgers and open a friggin' taco truck or something like that, which was remember that panic attack. Versus, we didn't have to bring anybody from Venezuela. The robot did it. And every so often a robot will accidentally kill somebody. And what's the difference between that and a Venezuelan doing it in your mind? Well, it's different. Why? Oh, because they're all Elon Musk's fault? Like at a certain point, he marches all these robots out, and none of these people realize that that's what they're for. It's those things instead of immigrants. And you can make an instant supply, a relatively instant supply of adults, right? Because they don't grow, you don't even have to grow a child into this. This robot comes out fully formed and fully functional, and they're going to make themselves, right? That's the whole point, a robot factory that makes robots, which is what all the robot companies are working on right now and will be here within 2 years. Within 2 years. And
make robots.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
You're fine. You and I are entertainers. People are going to have a lot of free time, and they're going to need something to do. Like we're going to be jumping around for everybody to keep everybody from realizing they don't really have even their hobbies have been taken by robots. But in all seriousness, these idiots hate immigrants. Why? Mainly because they're brown. All right, the ones that do. But the rest of them, their reasoning is, honestly, their reasoning is that they're going to come and take our jobs. They're taking black jobs. They're taking Latino jobs. That's right. That's what Trump is selling to his people, right? And he's trying to Meanwhile, at the very same time, Elon Musk is marching out his robots going, these things will be able to do anything a human can do in the next 5 years. The Venezuela couldn't print enough workers if they had a baby boom to create the number of robots that will be doing those jobs. Immigrants won't be able to come to the United States to get jobs largely because there won't be any jobs to be had. And the weird, it's just this disconnect between them like decrying these hordes of people coming here and clapping, at these robots marching out. It's like, do you not realize it's all right? So I guess the idea is that it might be just their incel reflex. We're like, at least the robots aren't going to take our women, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And actually, they are. So there's a big article in Wired like 2 years ago that women, when it comes to having sex with robots, women will be first in line.
Yeah.
Yep. And not surprisingly, because there's already a sub-industry about that, that women participate in at a higher rate than men do. And they're already discerning purchasers of cyborg parts of things, right? The only thing different is that this one will show up, clean itself and leave. And that's, so you don't have to keep him in a shoebox under the bed. But that's the, in all seriousness, some watery chart says, what is a black job? By the way, I would like to remind everybody, when Trump says black job, what he means is black people and Latino people don't have careers. Okay? It's not just a slip of the tongue. It's not just him attributing certain activities to black people. What he's saying is a job is something that broke, poor, lower income people have. A career, it's not a job if you're working, you can work your way up. A job is, in his mind, stagnant and immovable and pathetic and low end.
And something he's never had.
Never in his life. He barely had a career. So that's what he means. And I want to be very clear about that because he kind of gets a pass on just being a racist jerk, right, in this situation. But in all honesty, it's also his long-term view of what black and brown people do in the country, and that none of them succeed past a certain point, or should, is the idea. When he says black jobs, and when they asked him, he said, what's a black job? Anybody who has a job, which means all jobs suck. They are treadmill toil. They are work for work's sake with no future. And are all jobs black jobs? No, but all black jobs are jobs. All black work, all black people have jobs. They don't have careers. That's what he means. And I'm not kidding about this, and I'm not overlaying some sort of like flagrant attack on him as a racist. He genuinely believes this. That's why he didn't want black accountants at the accounting firm he went to. He wanted the people with the small hats counting his money, which means Jews, because he thinks they're genetically predisposed to being able to count money better than other people. And he also
starting to not like this guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about him that puts me off. I'm not kidding. I'm not. This is as Joe Biden was saying, not a joke. Not a joke, folks. Yeah. And he's right. It's not a joke.
Did you see his press conference where they asked if he was going to contact Trump to stop with the misinformation?
Yeah, right. It's like
come on, man.
He's this close.
No.
He's this close to quoting Murdoch from Lethal Weapon. Like at this,
I'm too old for this.
Yeah, right. But he's got too much dignity to do it while he's in the White House or in front of a microphone. Obviously, that Bob Woodward book is coming out. People are calling it the October surprise. No one is surprised by the fact that Donald Trump sent Vladimir Putin not COVID tests, folks, not COVID tests, COVID testing equipment, the devices that the low end ones cost $5,000 a piece, and the high end ones are in the $20,000 and $30,000 range. That's the ones the government uses. And he sent crates of those things and all the supplies necessary to use them to Vladimir Putin. They sent them to any other world leader. Any other world leader. Benjamin Netanyahu, even Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, who would have turned them down, even though Trump sent them, I think it was 17 tons of PPE when 54 other countries had stopped exporting personal protective equipment.
Yeah.
Right. He kept sending stuff after that to Xi Jinping and allowing stuff to go out the door, even when we needed it. And while he's sending testing equipment, ladies and gentlemen, is the key word when you're talking about it. Don't say COVID tests. It's COVID testing equipment. The tests are part of that, but it's the machines that run the test, the PCR machines that they were using and that were hard to get your hands on, that every hospital in the United States wanted one and couldn't get them.
Yeah.
And we still don't know the number. Was it a dozen? Was it 20?
Right.
Is that 12, 20, 30 American hospitals that went without a COVID testing machine early on? We now have tests, and that's the lie that the Republicans are trying to use right now, is that they're holding up the tests you can buy at the grocery store or you can get by asking the government for one for free. And they're going, he just sent these. We didn't have those in May of 2020. Those didn't exist yet. He sent the gear, and gear that was in short supply. So I would like to remind everybody, if you're talking about this with anybody or this story, this part of it comes up, and you hear any Republican saying, he sent some COVID tests. It's the testing machines he sent. And again, while they were in short supply. We got to take a break. We'll come back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more. Johnny Million. I'm still reeling over how stupid JD Vance is.
You see him talking to the New York Times reporter who would not stop asking if Trump won the 2020 election.
Oh, yeah. So that's a no.
The dude, he doesn't know how to pivot.
Nope. Well, he can't. You know? He's not allowed, I think, is the key thing. And that's a good thing. Let's bring that up when we come back, because that's important to talk about.
Okay.
Because he would just, Ugh.
Guy.
And I think we got some more super chats in here as well. That was lovely. Thank you, Ann, for the super chat. And Mo, thank you for the super sticker. And Akth. Hey, there's Akth. Robots are one thing. Faking a self-driving. Yes. Robots are one thing. Faking a self-driving taxi with some dude holding an RC car remote just a few feet away is something else. Oh, by the way, Akth. He did the same thing with the robots. They were being remotely controlled as well. The Optimus was not walking or moving on its own. There was literally a person with gloves on and a VR helmet doing all the motions and doing the conversation. There's a reason it was done on a movie backlot.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So, Johnny and I were chatting during the break, as we are wont to do. And you were saying, Johnny,
that there was just a bewildering interview with JD Vance and the New York Times reporter where he could not answer the question, no matter how many times it was asked, if Trump lost the 2020 election.
Right.
And he was unable to pivot. He kept asking completely unrelated questions. He's like, well, I'll answer your question when you answer mine. That's not how interviews work.
Yeah. Okay, couple of things. And this is for all the JD Vance fans out there, maggots in maggot land. There is no Hunter Biden laptop. The only real laptop that is